Welcome to the Cincy Postcast presented by LASIK.com, where better vision equals better calls. My name is Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I want to tell you about our friends over at Streetside Brewery, where on Saturday, this Saturday, May 17th, we are hosting a live show before Hell is Real. The game is in Columbus, but the show is at Streetside Brewery in Columbia, Tusculum, kicking off at 5:30 p.m. Check it out. Come hang out. It should be a good time. We're going to have a lot of fun. There will be prizes. There's going to be a ton of stuff, and it all leads up to Hell is Real. So come check it out. Drink some delicious beers at Streetside. They've got good food, so come early, get yourself some food, get a burger, grab a beer, and we will have fun together. So thank you to Streetside for sponsoring today's episode, and thank you for coming out to that live show again this Saturday, May 17th. And on today's show, it's a special edition show. It was a call-in show. We hosted this live on Discord immediately following the match. If you want to be a part of this, if you missed this, you want to do the call-in show, join our Discord. It's very easy to do. There's a link in the description of the podcast. You can join. It is open to everybody. You do not need to pay to be a part of the Discord. Come join the conversation. It's a really fun time. We talk about the Toronto victory, and then we touch on Columbus Crew this weekend. Hell is Real. It's an exciting one. It's an exciting week for FC Cincinnati. Revel in the vibes on a very special postcast. Well, we're just going to carry on for now. Grayson, FC Cincinnati, gets a win midweek, rotated. How are we feeling right now?
I mean, it feels pretty good to go up to Canada and get a win. I know not a lot of teams can say that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, feeling pretty good. Did not watch the game.
Good. This is why we do this. Okay. Well, I'm assuming somebody in the audience has watched the game or is at least passingly familiar with what happened tonight. So we are going to sort of take calls. We've got the option should be to request to speak. As you do that, it will populate and we'll go in order here, which means right now we have one person who has asked to speak. You cannot be the only one, Todd. So hopefully some other people join in.
Does it sound better for people?
That sounds way better. Okay, that is good.
The input.
I like this. All right, let's bring in Todd. This is going to be a bad decision on my part, Todd, or is this a good decision? How are we feeling after that win?
This is going to be a great decision.
How do we feel after that win, Todd?
I'm pretty happy with it. We have good rotation. Brad Smith is the first good left back rotation we've had in years where we have two left backs of great coverage. Ooh. I'm very happy with that pickup.
Ooh, that might be a hot take, but I like it.
We haven't had that since Josu was here.
Honestly,
well, Kevin, if it's a hot take, who is the left back depth that we've ever had before? You talking Halsey?
Well, obviously Halsey.
Oh, yeah, Greg Garza.
Is Greg Garza the depth or was Justin Hoyt?
So, maybe. Here's what we're looking at.
Okay.
Brian Anuga is a fantastic pickup too. A little bit of a risk sometimes with his aggression, But when we're looking at the points comparison to the 2023 squad, there is a gelling that is happening with this squad right now. And the locker room is the happiest it's been since Lucho didn't cheat on his wife. So we are doing very, very well right now. And I think that we're looking at a squad that could hit that summer hot streak like we did in 23 and just keep moving forward. So I'm really, really hot right now on this.
I just to back up your intuition there, FC Cincinnati is currently on a points per game basis ahead of the Shield team. We are looking at a 70-point team right now at the current pace. And to your point and everybody's eye test, this team hasn't quite hit on all cylinders at the same time. So it's exciting to see what this team is going to be. I want to ask you real quick, Todd, and then we'll move on to
grudgingly you have to move on. I get
unfortunately,
it.
Yes. But going into Hell is Real, how are you feeling?
Very high on the team, boss. Very high on the team. I think that we are going to see some pressure. It all depends on the healthiness of Miazga and Obi, I actually think are going to be key components on this. I think that if Obi's in there, he's going to be a shutdown player and hopefully unlocks Buka to move up just a little bit more so he can have his touch on the ball and turn to find the passing outlets. I think Denki is going to actually show out that game. Now, what we have to figure out is if Luka's going to play the right wing back, which I think I'd give him the nod over Yeti right now. I think that we start stretching the field a little bit better, but we have to figure out who's going to be the second striker with Denki. I think after tonight's showing, Dotto actually gets that nod. Great hold-up play, good vision for the field. He's looking for passing, but he's getting down on that far touchline a whole lot more. So I'm really, really, really bullish on this. One thing I do want to point out, anybody listening, if you're going up and traveling, we're going to be at Gasworks for the pregame bar this year.
Ooh, good call.
Like we were last year. The supporters march will leave around 6:00 or so. And hopefully Columbus Fire and Police don't try to arrest me this year because I have twice as much smoke as I did last year.
If you're underage and you're worried about can you get into a bar, it's Gasworks. Don't worry about it.
Right. Yeah. And in worst case scenario, if they turn you away, just go to Brothers Next Door and you're still good.
Todd, just remember that if anyone from Columbus Police approaches you, you say, you have to tell me if you're a cop. That's the rule.
Yeah. Yeah. That always works.
Okay, well, I don't know if you guys are going up or not. I'm sad if you're not going to have away days up there. It's been a couple years since we've sat at a table together and done a podcast where all my audio got cut out of the feed. So I was hoping to be a part of it and get edited out again this year. But
well, Kevin, tell the people where we will be instead of at the match in Columbus.
Oh.
I was going to say, Todd, you clearly are not a listener.
It's okay, Todd. I don't listen either.
You guys had me on more. I've listened more.
No, Todd, we will be at Streetside Brewery because that is where we are hosting a live show. 5:30 p.m. is when we are kicking off. We'll take you right up until game time there. Game kicks off at 7 p.m. Come join us. There will be prizes. There will be games. There may or may not be a guest, TBD on that front, but we are going to have some fun times there. So thank you so much, Buka's number one fan.
Just let me call in on Saturday when you guys are there live. So let's just let's commit to that right now.
We'll see. And I get to hang up with them on that note. Chief, welcome to your podcast.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me on tonight, Kevin.
How are we feeling after that win?
I don't want to repeat anything you guys said, but I think we're feeling good.
Nobody heard what I said because I was using the wrong mic input. So
yeah, we've all been there.
Also, we said we felt good, so we can move on now.
There we go. No, I don't understand. Like, that was a great result. It's a midweek game. It's heavy rotation. It's ahead of a rivalry match on the road. You're a part of a 2-match away string right here. you got 3 points out of it, and you got 3 points basically because you have Kevin Denke and they don't.
Yeah.
So I mean, sometimes it really is just that simple, is that this team can rotate, but they've got Evander and they've got Kevin Denke. And tonight, that was enough. And you love to see it. Like, it's funny how you watch the match on this past Saturday, and that represents sort of what this club can be.
Yeah.
Tonight sort of represents what the floor for this club is, as long as Kevin Denke and Evander are getting minutes. And, you know, it looked better than we've seen, you know, out of this style of formation where you've got Anunga playing the 6, and it's a very defensive, heavy formation, Yedlin out on the wing. But not for nothing, it looked like Yedlin was feeling the pressure from how Luca Orishano played on Saturday. I think that, you know, it might have been inadvertent, but their message delivered that the way forward and the way to playing time as a wingback on this team is you got to get out there in the attack. You got to do something, and you got to offer something going forward. So I thought, you know, Yedlin was very aggressive in this game, and I thought that was a really, really good thing to see. So,
yeah,
you know, I think that Pat will not like this result because they probably should have scored 4 or 5 goals based on how well they played and how threatening they were. But
according to our man on the scene, I don't know what scene he's on, Damon, Pat Noonan was not impressed with the offensive effort tonight. Liked the defense, but was underwhelmed by the offense.
I mean, I was not underwhelmed. I was underwhelmed by the finished product. But in terms of, you know, how the offense actually looked and the chances they created, I think I was properly whelmed by that. I think they were threatening. They had multiple good opportunities. There was multiple good builds. You got good takes from Evander. Denke scores just an insane goal, but they were goal dangerous for most of the night. So, I mean, yeah, you wish they would have finished a few more of them off, but for a game where you're rotating to a lot of defensive players, I'm not unhappy with that.
Yeah, and as the chat is pointing out, Johnson had a heck of a game in goal, only giving up a couple of moments in this game. Let's bring in Argon Wolf. You've been very patient with us, Mr. Wolf. Let's see. Thoughts on the win, thoughts on the game. I have clicked the button to invite you. Yes, please, Chief.
But before he comes on, I'm recording in a different room because I've been kicked out of my usual recording studio because we're dog sitting. So the audio quality was shit on Sunday. My bad, hand up, that's on me. But by virtue of where I'm recording now, I can actually watch television while we're taping. What match should I watch in the background while this is going on? Do we want Nashville, New York, Houston, Minnesota, St. Louis, SKC, Austin, Atlanta, or RSL Portland just kicked off?
Well, to
RSL Portland, right?
Yeah, I think RSL Portland's the winner right here.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Mr. Argon Wolf, yay! There we are.
Hi, Kevin.
Hello.
So we're coming to you live from TQL Stadium at the TIFO Tracing for Hellas.
Nice.
I'm not gonna lie, only about half of us watched the game because the rest of us were actually trying to trace this giant ass TIFO.
I did get security called on me walking back from the bathroom with a Fretboard Bootsy IPA in hand. So I've already been accosted once. Oh yeah, no, sorry, it was a street side beer. That's what it was.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Mr.
It was a street side beer.
Mr. Kiwi.
Were you accosted or were you accosted, to quote David Gass?
Yeah, who could say?
Well, we send our best to any and all of our Tifu tracers, hoping you guys put together something beautiful for the fans. Very exciting, man.
Which AI did they use to get the design? Was this Grok
or one of those deep dark web AIs that you can only get access to in Russia? Let's bring in Redbeard here.
Grok, is that true?
Redbeard, the team picks up a win midweek in Toronto. How are we feeling? Thoughts on the game?
So this feels really, really good. I have this suspicion that Denke was told you can only score goals of the week or something. Can one person get multiple Puskas nominations?
He's just going to clog up the goal of the year nominations just so he can win them all. It was an incredible goal.
We won't be able to afford him after this because it'll just be highlight reel after highlight reel. It was fantastic, and the Evander volley that didn't quite make it. We looked really good. I gotta say, I agree. We should have had 4 or 5 goals, but I want to know your guys' thoughts. Is Pat Noonan secretly hoping for these 1-goal games to be a good guy in the league? Because if we had gotten those 4 or 5, all the Toronto fans, they would have started streaming for the exits, and the stadium would have been even more empty by the end of it. With a 1-goal game, and a lot of people are sticking around, and I'm wondering if he's doing a solid for everybody by doing that.
I don't think there's any danger of anyone leaving early from Toronto in this game, because if you leave the stadium, you have to confront reality that the Maple Leafs are going to lose a playoff series. Like, the stadium was a place of refuge for everyone tonight.
The broadcast constantly cutting to folks in Leaves sweaters was very funny. I really enjoy MLS highlighting fans of another sport in their own stadium. That's really good.
I did have a thought to Denke only scoring goals of the week, and I do wonder now if he will be fouled in the box more often, because if I'm a defender and watching this game, and you're Columbus and you're scouting this game, or you're an opponent scouting this game, I'm not going to let him make me look like a fool like that. I'm not going to give him the chance. I'll just cut him down at the knees and take the PK. I'm not going to be on a highlight reel that keeps getting shown over and over again on social media. The hell with that. If he's gonna style and clown on people, he can do that with bloody ankles going up for a PK. I'm not letting that happen to me.
It seems so incredibly unfair. Now, Grayson, hang on. We do need to explain what happened here for Grayson. So, Grayson, Kevin Denke in this game gets the ball outside of the box, dribbles into the box, not something that we've seen him do a whole lot, and beat 4 or 5 defenders before finally getting the ball onto his left foot and curling it around Sean Johnson. Like, basically a Lucho-esque goal from a man that is 150 pounds heavier than Lucho Acosta. Like, the footwork and the grace in which he moved physically shouldn't happen on a player, on a man of his size.
I was just watching it back, and that ball comes out so fast from his foot, which we've seen time and again how quickly he can get a shot off. Maybe an underrated part of the goal is how all these Toronto defenders immediately start screaming about like a foul at midfield.
like that explains how shitty they were defending in the box.
There should be even if there was a foul at midfield, there should be like a VAR exception where if you get beat that badly, you do not get bailed out.
Right. It was a weird moment too, and this just goes to the overall officiating for the game, which, like, it's hard to highlight a single moment for our LASIK moment of the match, but just like the weirdness of, in the lead up to this goal, there's about 3 or 4 fouls that could have been yellow cards based on the standard of this game, and none of them were called for anything. So, like,
oh no, the officiating was vibes only tonight.
Right.
It was like the official looked at the conduct and it was like, does this feel like a foul? Like, not so much what actually happened, but like, given the game state and the energy on the field, and just sort of like, just how am I feeling about this? And then, positive vibes only, negative vibes only. This is an energy killer. This is an energy bringer. In this case, I got to hand it to the official, not to hand it to ISIS. But like, this was a vibes no call, because the state of the match as it proceeds forward produces a goal of the year nominee. So
yeah.
The problem with vibes-based officiating is that sometimes you're reading the vibes right. Other times you're just reading the vibes wrong. And, my man, I got to hand it to him. We call him inconsistent. he was consistently vibes based tonight. And as long as you accept that, I think that the officiating wasn't bad.
We talk about the laws of the game sometimes. It sounds like tonight was like more like equity of the game.
Right.
Or just like, my man he was shrooming at a Grateful Dead concert. And sometimes the music is for you. Sometimes the music isn't. Sometimes you're hearing your favorite song. Sometimes you're not hearing your favorite song. And then you realize it's all just one song. And you just pick the moments in life to enjoy.
And those are the moments that the yellow cards come out, to be clear.
Yes, that's where the yellow cards come out of absolutely nowhere.
Well, this is the perfect opportunity to remind folks that if you want consistency in your life when it comes to your vision, unlike some of the referees we have seen, you can go to LASIK.com/thepostcincy for $1,100 off your LASIK procedure, corrective eye surgery. You owe it to yourself. Check it out. Free consultations available. LASIK in Greater Cincinnati, by the way, tops in the country. You are in very good hands. So go check them out. LASIK.com/thepostcincy for $1,100 off. I am not making that up. That is a real offer. Huge thank you to LASIK for sponsoring this episode, and a huge thank you to LASIK for offering free LASIK corrective eye surgery to all referees in soccer. Okay, we need that. You need that. Go check it out. Let's bring in David here to offer some thoughts, feelings, questions about the match as it happened. David, you have been approved to speak. I don't know what will happen here if you don't accept it. There we are. We'll
never have to wonder.
David, welcome. David, goodbye. I'll let you figure that out.
Welcome and goodbye. It was a vibes-based appearance right there. The vibes just weren't right for it at the moment, I guess.
Let's see.
I think it might have been a dog.
Honestly, if it was a dog, pretty good job for the dog. Adam Reeves, you've been invited to speak. You are on mute. Adam, how are we feeling after that win?
A little confused, to be honest.
Okay.
Though I'm doing better than the last guy who was apparently a dog. And my question is, everybody seems to be very happy about the match, and so maybe I shouldn't sort of ruin the mood, but
no, ruin it.
Is Toronto really, really bad?
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a rotated squad. We had, some movement, particularly in the back. And yet I never at any point, maybe until the very last moment of the game, felt like Toronto was really threatening. And I felt the defense had it locked down, almost more so than they did the previous match. But honestly, Toronto didn't threaten. They didn't move forward. It was as if, it shocked me if you've heard this before, the two Italian dudes weren't terribly interested after about the 20th minute.
No.
So I don't really know how much to take away from what I thought was at the end of the season just going to look back and be kind of a weird midweek match.
I think you're dead on with that. It's how much do you want to take away from this? The answer is not a lot. It was a midweek rotation match that was just sort of on the road that just sort of survived in advance. This match had big USL energy. The crowd was, a passing interest in the match happening. They were all following the Leafs on their phone. There wasn't a lot of noise. There wasn't a lot of energy. There was something that I was reading in the chat that maybe the supporters were boycotting Toronto, which is why it was jarring to watch an MLS game and not hear just the incessant sound of drums somewhere in the stadium. So
you're right.
It felt like, a glorified scrimmage. And yeah, like after about like the 30th minute, it definitely felt like the only one on Toronto that was really trying was that number 7 dude out on the outside. He ran his ass off, but everybody else was just like, yeah, if I find myself in a dangerous position, maybe I'll try shooting. But like nobody cared. their XG, according to FOTMob, which FOTMob always like shadow updates this later on in the evening, was 0.27. Like they were not interested in any of this. So you don't take much away. I agree with the take, but like, I don't know that there was a reality where you were ever going to take much away from this game, given the rotation, the timing, international travel, ahead of a big derby match. Like, it is what it is. It exists in its own little pocket universe right there. Enjoy it for what it is, I think.
I think it's like a professional, just take 3 points without having to run your stars into the ground. You know, nobody got injured. Nobody's going to have a suspension next game. If you're playing a bad team midweek, if you can do as much rotation as we did and come away with 3 points, the takeaway is just that you're capable of doing that. And Toronto's terrible, but you still got to get the 3 points.
Yeah, I would just throw out there that even with Toronto's loss and Montreal getting a draw, Montreal is still worse. They're worse on the table, and Montreal tied Columbus. And as far as I can tell, Columbus set 2 starters in their game. So it is very possible to go rotate your squad on the road midweek and not win, even if you are a good team.
This is a devastating loss for Columbus. I hadn't looked at the stats yet. 58% possession, win the XG battle 2.19 to 0.22, 14 shots to 4 shots on target to 2. They outpassed them 552 to 375.
So, yeah.
I would be furious.
Not, FC Cincinnati didn't necessarily dominate their game against Toronto, but the alternative is to lose. Philadelphia struggled mightily
or tie
against but Philadelphia struggled against LA Galaxy. We're down 2-0 in the first half. They drew it back at about the 50th minute, and it took a late 90-minute winner to beat the LA Galaxy, a team that is off to a historically bad start, and that is at home in Philadelphia. So granted, not a whole lot to take away from this. However, I think it definitely could have gone way wrong. So I will take it. Let's bring in Augen 76.
Hey guys, going in the match, one of the talking points with my buddy was about playing Denke or resting him. And I was just wondering if there was a certain point you got it all nervous about a yellow possibly happening. For me, it was when Evander got what I thought was kind of a soft yellow. I started going, may not be bad to go ahead and just get him off at halftime, but I'm glad it worked out, but I wasn't sure how nervous y'all were.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't. Denke is a professional. I think that he is an incredibly intelligent player. I think you can see that in his work rate, his movement. I think I felt very comfortable with him being out there. The only time I got nervous was when he made a half turn and somebody tried to sell a blow to the face or the head. Mm-hmm. Like that, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Because I could see that being like the cheap thing that gets him a card because they say contact to the head or contact to the face. But otherwise, I mean, the one takeaway I've had from Denke so far is that he plays incredibly disciplined, incredibly under control. And, he's a man who probably knows to the microgram how many carbs he's ingested over the course of a week, or like to the millicalorie, how much each one of his workouts like burn. That's a man right there who, if you tell him, I need you to go out there and play just enough defense and just enough hold up, but don't get called for any silly fouls, he's going to say, yes, coach. And he will already have a game plan. It's like that, exactly how much contact I can make with someone. I can only go 66.5% on any one of these things. Otherwise, I'm likely to get a card. I think he's that locked in and that tuned in to every detail going on in his life.
I agree. I just don't know how well he can calculate pro officiating. So
if there's anyone that can do it, I think it's Denke.
I will say I was the most concerned when he scored the goal, because he has got some pretty unhinged celebrations. He's been more than happy to rip his shirt off. I don't want him to get excited in the moment, and he scores an incredible goal, right? It's an amazing goal. He has one of the most subdued celebrations ever. Very Evander-esque in his celebrating of that goal, which is to not celebrate at all.
I had a thought about that, actually. Do you think that they had talked in pregame among the coaching staff that if he looks like he's about to take his jersey off, one of the coaches needs to run onto the field, tackle him, and the coach needs to take a yellow?
100%. I think
do you think that was Kenny Arena's job? Like, Kenny, if you see him reach for like the bottom of his shirt, you've got to get out there. You've got to tackle him. You've got to take the bench yellow or the bench red.
Kenny Arena is absolutely the strength coach who has to hold back the head coach from yelling at the officials on the sideline in a college football game. Absolutely.
Yeah, the get back guy.
Yes, the get back guy. Yes.
I see that there's a question about what's my favorite Mountain Goats album.
Yes, please address this.
I know I'm good at people are going to call me a fake fan.
Oh.
But I do. While I do love all their albums equally, I can't lie. And so I have to admit that I have definitely listened to the Sunset Tree more than any of them. And I have a strong personal connection to it. So that's my revealed preference. So I got to stick with that one.
Wow. The truth comes out. And people say we don't do journalism. Okay. Let's try to bring in David the dog again. David, have we sorted out our permissions?
I'm here. Is it working?
I can hear
we
you.
We got you, brother.
All right.
Bark twice if you can hear us.
Yeah, woof, woof. Yeah. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Thanks for taking me.
Hey.
I think this was, I want to get your guys' take on something that I think back to after, I think it was either the New England or the DC game and subsequent podcast. Where I'm curious, and I think Adam maybe sort of alluded to it a little bit. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on the fact that it took basically one $16 million player a moment of pure individual $16 million brilliance for us to score a goal and win this game. And without that, we would have had a 0-0 draw. Is that, like, I think we sort of, if I recall, it might even been you, Chief, someone raised that concern after some of the other bad teams we've played. I know we talked about this being a rotated squad and whatnot, but man, it still just feels like we're relying on pure individual brilliance to get us points. And I just wonder how concerned we are and how much longer we think that'll really last.
I would basically agree with this, except I think that for all intents and purposes, FC Cincinnati did not play a soccer game tonight. They went to Toronto, did some stuff, and ended up with 3 points on the table. So I think we'll have plenty of opportunities to make that point. Why did it take $30 million to get one goal? But this is, I really don't think this is the game where that's our takeaway.
Yeah, I agree with Grayson. And I would be more concerned if this wasn't coming on the heels of the performance on Saturday, where you saw what this team can look like when you've got Luca Orishano out wide where he's better, where you put a midfield out there that does not have a negative offensive presence the way Brian Anunga is. I think you saw what the team can look like and how much better the team can be when you have two offensive-minded or progression-minded midfielders playing in that dual number 8 or that hybrid 8-6 role. So given that they went back to Yedlin on the wing and they had Anunga out there, we saw a lot of the same things that we've seen when our midfield looks like that and our wingbacks play like that. Brad Smith, God love him. There's a reason Brad Smith is a supplemental roster guy. He did some stuff that was really good. If he was a better player, probably would have set up Denke for a second goal there on that one cross that was just a little bit off. So I would have been more worried if we didn't see a better way forward for this team with its full complement of players on Saturday. As it is, yeah, this looks a lot more like the FC Cincinnati we were complaining about during the winning streak, where, hey, they're winning, but it's taking Evander doing something superhuman or Denke doing something superhuman. So and to be clear, if they go to Columbus and it takes Denke doing something superhuman to win, I will not bitch about that either. I'm just
thank you, David the dog, for the question. No, but Chief, I got to push back on that a little bit, because I think the problem earlier this season was this team would only generate one chance or only have one free kick that Evander would convert or Denke would score a penalty. I think you saw plenty of repeatable offense in this game, not as much as we would have liked, but also it was a heavily rotated team. We've talked about how important the wingbacks are, and at the end of the day, Yedlin is now our second string wingback. So we rotate the wingbacks pretty heavily, and yet there were still a number of scoring opportunities in this game for the FC. So I think
they generated good offense in this game. Like, that's the other thing too, is that they generated good offense, which they weren't doing during that string of, hey, we're putting wins together, but it doesn't look pretty.
Right.
I mean, you saw, I thought, very, very good play from Dado Valenzuela tonight. I was kind of worried that.
I'm sorry, Chief. I don't think the recording cut that. Can you just say that one more time?
I will not. You can listen to it. You can download and listen to the show like a normal human being.
Just got my
but like,
ringtone.
I was worried that Dado was hey, here's your opportunity to start, kid. But also, we're taking away all the creative players that will help you look good. I thought he shined. I thought he looked really, really good. I thought he was, as Grayson would say, nice with it, with the ball at his feet, moving the ball around. I thought that Yedlin had some really good movements. I thought that Yedlin had some really, really aggressive movements in this game. And, they generated chances when they brought Yuya Kubo on, too. Kubo gets 2 point-blank looks at the goal. And it takes Sean Johnson just being an octopus in order to keep, a second goal out. So, yeah, this was very much the same in terms of outcome, that it required an individual moment of brilliance from Denke in order to score, but it was different, I think, in the process than what this team looked like a couple of weeks ago, which again is why I'm not like super concerned about this, it took Denke beating 5 guys off the dribble in order to score.
Also, to be clear, it's pretty sweet when we get these moments of brilliance.
No, it rules. Like, it's awesome. Like, it's absolutely awesome.
It's an entertainment endeavor. Getting goals like that are there's value to it, I guess.
You know what else there's value to? And I really do believe this, and that's that they spent $17 million on Denke, and he looks like a bargain. Like, there's when you break the transfer record, you expect like a superstar player. And I think, if anything, Denke has been better than advertised so far. And that's badass. Like, he scores that goal tonight and makes an entire roster of people look silly, which is kind of what you want your DP to do.
I wasn't sure that was part of his game.
Right.
No, I was unfamiliar he could do that.
That's on me.
Right.
Yeah, no, remember he was sold to us as like, oh, he's a striker that when he gets good service, he's going to finish, and he's got kind of a poacher's vibe to him. It's like, my man, that was as far from a poacher's goal as I have ever seen in my life.
He's going to do what it takes. It's clear. If he has to do it himself, he'll do it himself.
Let's drum up some drama here. Kevin Denke doesn't believe in Evander, doesn't trust him, had to go learn ball skills himself. At the same time, and we'll get to you, Salty Chips, here in just a second. Damon texted me this, and I hadn't thought of this, and now I'm mad at Damon for making me think this. He said after Denke's goal, Denke goal is so good, he is not going to be here for long. And I don't want to think these thoughts anymore, but it's something to think about.
Is there any striker in MLS that more looks the part of a guy that shouldn't be in this league.
The only other one was Zlatan, and he did in fact go back to Italy and have like a couple of good years.
No, like he does shit that is just effortless. And he runs and he never looks like he's tired. He barely looks like he's breaking a sweat in any of these games. He tracks back. He plays hold up, which I didn't know he was able to do. He passes real well.
Yeah.
Like he'll carry the ball progressively with his feet dribbling. Like this dude looks the part of a guy who just doesn't belong in this league.
He does things with the ball, like soft, skillful things that you don't expect to see from somebody of his physique.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Salty Chips, thoughts on the game and or the team and or the win? Whatever you got thoughts on.
I'd just call this a well-managed result here. I appreciate that. And, I'm really happy to see Dotto getting a lot of press. I think partially based off of his performance and partially based off of the kind words from Evander after last week's game. It's just been cool to see him get called out in the press and a lot of people talking about Dotto these days. Great to see Kai Kamara make his debut. I would have loved a goal for him, but that'll come.
Next week.
But really, I mean, none of that really matters though, because as a true soccer fan, really my heart is on the team's valuation. So really seeing that go up is really what made my week. So thanks, guys.
That's spoken like a true MLS fan right there.
Oh, so good. Those are some good thoughts there.
Kevin, he's your boy, Dotto.
Yeah.
And you've been long on the Dotto. You've been hodl on Dotto stock for a while here. You got to admit though, like the difference between Dotto last year and Dotto this year is he looks so much more like a professional this year in terms of his movement, the way he carries himself on the field. There is now I don't know that grace is the right word for it, but he glides now when he moves a lot more than I remember him last year when I saw him in these positions.
Yeah, I would love to know what the training regimen was for him in the off season, because he has certainly put on some muscle, which has helped his game tremendously. Like he is now able to fend off challenges, whereas before he would go flying across the field when guys would bump into him. And he now is able to make moves and things like that just he was not able to last year. He was
David's saying it right here. We're all dancing. He looks like an adult now. Like
that's basically
all of a sudden
it.
He grew up in the off season.
If he gets a beard next year, we're all done for. He's winning an MVP.
He's the dude that comes back for senior year and he's got a beard. It's like, what the hell happened to you, man?
That's exactly it. He studied abroad for a little bit, has a little bit of an accent now. Yeah.
Yeah. Long hair.
Everybody else in his high school class was snapped out of existence.
I'm excited for this transformation, but before we talk about Kai Kamara, maybe this is setting up Luke. We have our old friend, intern Luke. Luke, how's it going?
That's going good.
Luke, welcome back.
I assume you're now running the New York Times or something, thanks to your internship with us.
It's The Athletic, actually.
Oh,
so
damn it. I'm just here for my $50.
It's in the mail from Grayson, I'm sure.
Got lost in the mail, apparently.
No, Luke.
Well, I had. You go.
No, thoughts on the game. What did we feel like after tonight?
If we don't see Corey Baird tonight, when do we?
Ooh.
Interesting question.
Because we can get midfield and move Yuya Kubo out of midfield and make him a striker and just get rid of his contract and buy midfield depth.
Yeah, Corey Baird does feel like a man without a country right now, doesn't he? And I think that the coaching staff at this point views him as a midfielder and wingback replacement more than a striker. I don't know. It was like we talked about on the show on Sunday. I think there's some very interesting conversations that the coaching staff is going to have in terms of what does the optimal 11 for this team look like, especially, Yedlin versus Orishano. And what do you do with that Anunga Obi spot? Do you just give Obi his spot back when he's fit? I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, it's a good
Obi's
question.
Better than Nunga.
Yeah, well, I agree.
I think I thought you were like maybe Kubo or somebody else.
That could be Baird there too, I think.
I feel like we would have seen him.
Maybe.
This might have been the game. Is he hurt?
Yeah.
Does anybody know if Baird has a knock? I mean, we didn't hear anything about Orishano right until he wasn't in the lineup. So, or at least I didn't hear about it. Maybe this was well known beforehand. I was surprised by the lack of Orishano. But it is a good question because the wingbacks are pretty well set. In midfield, if you've pulled Kubo back, and maybe there's a depth spot there. But the bringing in of Kai Kamara, yeah, there's not a lot of minutes for him. And there's a lot of salary for him. So it's a good question.
Yeah. Like we just replaced him with someone on lower salary.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, if you view him as a reserve striker, yeah, you got that now from Kai Kamara on a supplemental roster spot. And what's Baird making? Like close to max player salary, max budget charge, I think. Like 6. Or is he a TAM player? Do we have actually more money tied up in him?
Oh God,
I think he might be a TAM player.
Yeah, 800,000 maybe, a little more.
So
than
that would be a first place I would look to, shed salary if they need to get rid of a contract to bring in somebody this summer. Because at this point, I don't think Santos is going anywhere. There's too much vibes with Santos.
Yeah, absolutely. If they were going to get rid of Santos, they've had 100 opportunities to do it.
Right. My man still has an option next year too. God bless him.
Insane. Well, look, we got to talk about it. Kai Kamara. Thank you, Luke, by the way. Kai Kamara finally makes his debut. It has me thinking this has to be the longest amount of time from initial player acquisition to first appearance for team. Assuming there is an appearance, because certainly plenty of players have been acquired and never appeared for a club. This has to be the longest amount of time, right? Maybe somebody from Chelsea that has been, in loan hell for 5 years before coming back. But 6 years, a little more than 6 years.
It's got to be an MLS record, I would think.
Has to be.
Like there's probably teams in Europe where they've just been on, like you said, they've been on loan forever as part of the loan army. But I like the fact that that everyone is going with this too. It got brought up on the broadcast too. The expansion draft pick that finally comes home.
Yes,
it does bring me a little bit of joy whenever a deeper part of FC Cincinnati lore gets acknowledged and made part of the canon.
This is a Star Wars extended universe character getting a brief appearance in an animated series.
Right. So they brought back Mara Jade, and I'm very happy about this.
That's exactly what this is. But so happy. Somebody said Y85 in the chat. It is a reference to Ocho Cinco. Not only is he now in Cincinnati, but the story on the broadcast, I'd completely forgotten about this. It was during a player holdout or a lockout. I think it was a lockout technically back in like 2010, 2011. Ocho Cinco went and had a tryout with Sporting Kansas City as a quasi publicity stunt. Also, Chad was looking for something to do, and he went to Kansas City when Kai was there. So I assume that they met. I mean, Kai seems like a funny guy. Probably got along with Chad pretty well. So that is apparently the actual connection here, which I love.
I'm happy he got in too.
Yeah.
Like, just take away all the drama, take away all the suspense, let him in, get him his debut, show off the 85. And now we can fully focus on the real task, which is getting him to have his debut goal against the Columbus Crew.
Before we get over to the next part of the episode, I have to cut in to tell you that we are also sponsored by Paul Chapley's Thoughts. That's right. If you're looking for brilliant, insightful, just incredibly well-analyzed, well-reasoned thoughts on FC Cincinnati, you have to get Paul Chapley's Thoughts. The best way to get Paul Chapley's Thoughts is to be one of his children. If you have not done that, you probably have missed the boat. But Paul Chapley, lovely sponsor of the Postcast. Back with the episode. And that is where our focus now has to turn. Hell is real. It's a funny one. I saw some comments online from some Crew fans floating around the internet saying, in no way should we be favored against Cincinnati. They are very down on their team after the Montreal draw tonight, but then also a match against Philly has them down in the dumps. I find myself still very nervous about this game. I don't know, Grayson, where's your headspace at right now?
I need to know Matt Miazga's status. 'Cause I believe they've not beaten us when Matt has played.
That feels right. And have we?
Yeah, I'm not going to fact check that. I like that.
And since we've acquired Miazga, I'd be willing to bet we've lost every time he hasn't played.
Just total, not even against Columbus. Like every time Matt Miazga isn't
just
playing.
Literally every game he doesn't appear in. Yes.
Don't pay attention to the game we just watched.
Nope, didn't happen. Yeah, I don't know. Chief, what do you think? If we feel good?
I agree we shouldn't be the betting favorite. I mean, they're a good team and
they're at home. Yeah. No, I would not make us the betting favorite in this game. I think we're clearly the underdog going in, but I think that's more a function of the fact that it's really hard to win on the road in MLS, especially against really, really good teams. So I wouldn't expect us to win. But
yeah,
I think we're gonna learn a lot about this team, that how they play, how they look, and more importantly, who they put out there in terms of like their formation. I think that they're gonna, be outpossessed by Columbus because Columbus outpossesses everyone. I think we're gonna be on our back foot for a lot of this game. And I think it may come down to a moment of brilliance from Evander on a set piece, or Denke doing something amazing. And, I think for that reason, no matter what else is going on with this FC Cincinnati team, they've got a puncher's chance in any game, in any place, because of the quality they bring into matches.
Yeah. So we're immediately after a win. We're a couple of days out from Hell is Real. We probably haven't had enough time to internalize the, the dread that this game usually brings. So I guess, Grayson, sort of a time capsule note to yourself in the future. What is a good result, and will you overreact to a certain kind of loss? Like, set the expectations for us now so that we don't overreact in the moment on Saturday.
Yeah, but first I do want to respond to something in the Discord.
Oh, please.
Somebody has challenged that Matt has never lost here against Columbus. If he's played in 3 games against them for us. The first was a 2-2 tie. The second was a 3-2 win, and the third was a 2-1 win.
Boom.
There you go.
He hasn't appeared since he loss against them since he signed here.
Also, question in the chat. Question for the World's Gam: is Nashville good? Definitely listen to the World's Gam tomorrow for that question.
Yeah. But Grayson, set the expectations, please.
Yep. The expectations are they should look and feel like a game between two teams that are top of the table, that are going to look at each other as the chief rivals. in the playoffs. And so I think the expectation is that we play them hard and at least, close. And if it's a Philly type blowout, absent some like crazy mitigating circumstances, that's where you get your takes.
Okay.
And it's all about the takes, if we're being honest.
So a good game in which we lose 1-0. We're not panicking?
1-0? No, I don't think you ever panic over 1-0 on the road. The only way you would panic over 1-0 is if it's insanely toothless, where it's just you're getting the break speed off you the entire game. You don't manage any offense, and it's just like, holy hell, we should have lost 15-0.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I the only result to me that's unacceptable in this game is, like 3-0, 4-1, something like that.
That makes sense. Yeah, we just want to look competent. We just want to feel pretty, okay?
just don't get embarrassed by your rival on the road. And the path forward for any season for FC Cincinnati is win your home games, split your road games, or be competent on the road. And so, by virtue of the fact that the Hell is Real starts in Columbus, you're kind of limited a little bit in terms of like how you're feeling or what your thoughts are, because they get the first crack at it in their building. But if they lose in Columbus, it's not the end of the world. Just go beat Columbus at home and even it up, and then go beat them when it matters in the playoffs. I'll be more interested personally, again, in does Pat Noonan trot out a lineup that is, we're going to score goals, we're going to be aggressive, or does he concede the fact that Columbus is probably going to outpossess him heavily and go more of a bunker and counter style and just play to, pick them off when they lose possession? We haven't been really good at that. We haven't been good at that for a couple of years. So I'm curious how he sees this game, and the personnel that he puts out there on Saturday will tell us a lot about that, I think.
Yeah. Great question.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like a game where, if fully healthy, I do think Obi would be the play.
Yeah.
If not, man, I don't know. I think Anunga's a tough start in a game like this, but
no, I think you go, if Obi isn't fully healthy, I think you do exactly what you did last weekend, and it's Buka and Kubo in the midfield, and you play with as many players in the midfield that can play with the ball as possible, and just understand that Columbus is probably going to outpossess you, but when you do break, you're going to have a lot more options going forward.
Good question in the chat from Key, who asks, beat Columbus or lose 3-0 and win the Shield. I will modify that and say lose to Columbus every time you play them that year, or win the Shield.
Well, I mean, if we're winning the Shield every year, Columbus can't win the Shield every year.
Right. No, sorry. I mean, you lose to Columbus every time you play them, but you win the Shield every year.
You win the Shield.
Yeah.
But you win the Shield. So do that for a decade, and we're 10 years Supporters Shield winner, 10 times Supporters Shield winners.
But we've never beat Columbus in that decade.
Because then it becomes
right. But the only move then is what the Browns do, where they're like, oh, well, we own Joe Burrow. And it's like, fine.
Cool. Neat.
Cool.
Right. If that happens often enough, it just becomes some sort of a historical oddity. Man, it is really weird that we can't beat you. But I guess we'll have to be satisfied with just being the best team every single year.
I guess just to really overthink this dumb hypothetical, it would also mean losing to them every time in the playoffs, which could get emotionally draining after a while.
You don't necessarily have to play them in the playoffs. Right?
Agreed.
There's years where you miss them.
Yeah. Ah, man. Looking forward to the live show, especially at Streetside. We can process these thoughts, these feelings, these emotions all together. Let's see. We've got just a couple of minutes here. I've got one person requesting to speak if anybody else wants it. Throw the request out there.
No, he's already talked once. He had his time in the sunlight.
Oh, well, Todd, you're gonna have to throw it in the.
He says his comment is good.
All right, if he says it's good, then you know what? He's staking his reputation that this comment is good, and we will let history be the judge here. Let him in, Kevin.
Be pithy.
You will have to come back and re-request because I already rejected you, Todd. I had an itchy trigger finger there. All right, he's back.
Listen, when I'm serious, it's quality. So here's the one thing I want to say. The crew and what I found when we have the Hell is Real Derby is the hosting club is who sets the ticket prices.
Okay.
Columbus, being the hosting club for the past couple of years, has set the price. This year was $89. We've seen a significant increase year over year since, I think, 2021. I just want to state, I can't tell the total, had FC Cincinnati schedule-wise been the ones to be the first team, we would have been significantly lower than what Columbus priced the tickets at because our front office and ownership want fans to still be at the game and not be priced out. So with all the banter online and whatnot, I still want to highlight that the Hoslems and whatever that crazy doctor is that replied to Brew and I on Twitter a couple of years ago, they are the ones that are just gouging everybody. But the club,
I think he's Surgeon General now.
That's fine. I hope he like tweets me again. But we would have been significantly under what they priced it at. So anybody who wants to banter for the next couple days, I want to drop that tidbit on you that our club actually cares about fans getting in. And the ticket allotments has been driven by Columbus, going down from 550 a couple years ago down to 280 to 270 to 237. So when we see the crew move to Cleveland in 2030, this is why.
Hey,
reputation is sustained.
You were right. That was a good comment.
That was good. Hey, Todd, thanks.
That's right.
Love you all.
One team cares about their fans, and at the end of the day, isn't that what's the most important thing in the world?
Absolutely.
It's not about wins and losses. It's about the team caring as much as you do.
Yeah. Well, Chief,
I would like to win, though.
Well, Chief, I think that's going to do it for the postcast. We now have to hang up and go record our Andor podcast, which will be, debuting immediately tomorrow. So get us out of here, Chief.
This week, every week, this show, every show, but more so this week and more so this show. Fuck Columbus.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cincy Postcast. It is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out at thepostcincy.com or just click a link in the description to check out some of our written work. It also has links to our social media accounts across all sorts of different platforms, including YouTube, where we are trying to do more and more video content. Please, dare I say it, like and subscribe and leave a comment. But no, that would be really, really helpful. I also want to give a thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers. They're a local Cincinnati band who provided all of the music for this episode. We love having them on board. You can check them out. Again, link in the description of this episode to find out where they might be playing shows next or where you can listen to more of their music. Also want to give a massive, massive thank you to the awesome and very attractive patrons over on Patreon. It is a voluntary subscription that people take out with no real promise of anything extra that keep this show afloat. And we are so, so thankful to those of you that have decided to take that commitment. if you do like the show, or at least just want to engage with other people who have listened to the show and want to talk about FC Cincinnati, MLS, soccer, or really anything else, you can go on over to Discord. Again, link in the description. Lots of links in the description where you can find a link to the Discord. That's where we are keeping the conversation going 24/7. It feels like it's a really fun group of people in there just talking about FC Cincinnati. And like I said, just about everything else. And finally, I'll say it. If you liked this episode, and given the fact that you've made it all the way to the end, I have to assume you either like it or for some reason cannot reach the stop button. Please share this episode with a friend or family member or someone who likes FC Cincinnati. The best way for us to grow is from a personal recommendation from somebody who likes it. And if that's you, please tell other people. And if you don't have any friends, feel free to give us a review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. We'll take anything we can get. But again, a huge, huge thank you to everybody for listening to this show. I am blown away that anybody listens to this. So again, I well and truly mean this. Thank you so much for listening.